of a man who aims to fulfil his life's dream within a mile of his own front door. Local hero McCrory has fought for 10 years to get onto the world stage. This is the story of the battle both in and out of the ring. Bring him up. Bring him up. Bring him up. Come on. Nearly there. Come on. Come on, hit him. Step back. Come on. Come on. Nearly there. That's it. Come on.
I'm leaving nothing to chance. I'm going in this ring within my mind that he's in the best condition of his life, that he's world championship class, and if he isn't, well, that's hard luck, Mr. Lumumba. He looks very, very good. I've seen him against Alfonso Ratliff back in Atlantic City in October '87, and for the first 6 or 7 rounds, he looked a very good fighter. Nice combinations, looked as if he could punch. You know, looked an all-round pro. But the last few rounds, he looked as if he tired a little bit. Maybe he hadn't done the work that he should have. And, you know, let's hope he's done it for this fight, or let's hope he hasn't done it for this fight.
It's funny, when I was at junior school, I mean, way back when I was 9, 10-year-old, I used to somehow know I was going to be a boxer. I don't know whether it was because my dad used to talk about it or what, but I used to sit next to a guy and I was always drawing dressing gowns. And on the back of the dressing gown, it would say, Glenn McCrory, heavyweight champion of the world. And yeah, hopefully one day I'll be wearing that dressing gown. We've always been involved in boxing, right back. My granddad started it, I believe. He was in the army in India and boxed out there and was very good, and my dad has a medal. He won the Forces of India competition. And he, in the meantime, sent a pair of boxing gloves back to his brother, my great-uncle. And he later went on to turn professional and had, I believe, it was 240 fights. And was very good in the area. Jim Palmer, his real name was McCrory, but he changed it to Jim Palmer. And then my granddad kept it going to my father and used to talk about him, talk about all the fights and take him to the fights at St. James's Hall. And eventually my dad did the same to me. I remember sitting up when I was young talking about the great old fighters, the Dempseys and the Tunneys, and you know, my granddad used to think Joe Louis was the best, and my dad used to think, and I used to think Ali was better, and we used to have arguments when I was a kid. My one big hero, early on I used to like George Best. When I was into football a little bit, I used to like him. He was very exciting. But in the boxing, it's always been Muhammad Ali. He just totally captivated us when I was young, and he has done ever since. It was one of my early pro fights. I think it was my 5th pro fight, and I boxed in London on a Henry Cooper. It was Henry Cooper's birthday party, and Ali was one of the guests at a boxing show, and I was on the bill fighting as a heavyweight. And I can't remember the opponent I boxed. But I threw in, because Ali was a guest, I threw in the Ali shuffles and winding my arm up and all them antics that he did. And after the fight, I went back to my dressing room, I won the fight, and we got a message saying, Ali wants to meet you. So we came down and they shut the curtain behind him, and he was fabulous. He put his arm around my neck and started putting his fist at my chin and pulling the faces. And he said one day I'll be champion of the world. So you know, I hope his word rings true.
I was 12 years old, and it all started here. First of all, somebody had told me dad that there was a boxing gym and a weight training gym next to it, and my dad was going to take my older brother Gary to the gym, and I played holy hell because he wouldn't take me. And the following week they were going again, and I was just playing blue murder. They wouldn't take me. They said, no, you're too young, you're too young. And in the end, I cried and stamped my feet, and they said, okay, you can go. Just to shut them up, you can go. So I went along, and we come through these doors here, look through the glass, and you see the guys lifting weights and all that. And then one of the young guys opened the door next to us, and I seen all the guys running around with the boxing boots on and hitting the bags. And it was just magic. I just got an instant buzz, and I knew that was for me. Right from that moment at 12 years old, And I knew this was for me.
In the early days, it was very, very hard to get us matched. I know the old guy at the club, a guy called Tommy Gardner, a great old guy, and Vic Kendall, a friend of mine, they were taking us to shows when I was 12, and they would take us to a show and try and get us fixed up, and it was the same story all the time. You know, if he's too big for his age. There's no schoolboys that big. So I was 14 and before I got my first amateur fight. I remember I had a big black dressing gown out, and I come out and there was all my family there and everything. And I come out, and to me it felt like it was a world title fight. It was such a thrill. And I think the guy that I fought is bigger than me now. I think he turned out to be right big, and I've never ever seen him since. A guy called Harvey, I can't remember his first name, but I believe he's an actor today, but I've never had no contact since. Yeah, I had a good amateur career. I had, I think it was 64 amateur fights and 160. And I boxed in my second year as an amateur. I won the junior ABA title in London. I then got picked for Young England. I was on the Young England team at 16, and I boxed for Young England against Germany. I also went to America to box for a Great Britain team against New York Golden Gloves, which I won. But I turned professional very early. I just turned 19 when I turned professional. I had very good success in my first fight. I wasn't due to have that fight, and I ended up with a guy 50.5 stone who was rated number 16 in the country. And I think I was that frightened by the guys about 15.5 stone. The big guy just ran out and kept throwing punches. And the referee pulled us off him after 100 seconds of the first round. And after that, that was it. Fight after fight were heavyweight. I was winning, and I beat some good guys, but to me, there were always a struggle. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, this is hard, against all them fighters. And I think gradually I was beginning to lose my confidence, that they were just too big for us. And then I was scheduled to fight in the Northeast against a fighter who was very, very strong, was a good puncher. And in the back of my mind, I was a little worried. I was a little worried because Ida, and he was getting hailed as the favourite. And I think the pressure got to us a little bit. But when it came down to the crunch, I just was not ready at that time. I was too young and too immature. And I felt like I was being tugged a couple of ways. One, in my own mind, I was thinking, well, you're a boxer and win boxing. And then the other way, everybody was telling us, if you want to be a heavyweight, you've got to be a puncher and you've got to stand and have a fight. And in that fight, it got to a situation where the first 3.5 rounds were easy. It was probably the easiest fight I'd ever had. And I stood in the ring center and I was thinking, what do I do now? Do I move and win, or do I stand and fight? And I just got caught sort of thinking, and I was just in the middle of it. That was the beginning of a little bit of a hard struggle. Guys I was getting beat off were guys I'd sparred with and had no trouble at all handling them. And then I was fighting, and I didn't know. I was getting very, very big. I was trying. I think a little bit of bad advice, and it was also very hard because at that time I didn't have a gym or anything in the Northeast. And at some stages, I would try and get myself in condition by working out in the house and training in my mother's front room. And I mean, this was for fights like Trevor Curry, the British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion. Part of the training I did at home in the front room because I didn't have any facilities. And the only facilities I have were for weight training. And although I was getting into a big specimen of a man, I didn't think it was doing anything too good for us. I don't know why, but I wasn't making good money. And maybe it's because at that time I wasn't attractive enough or what, but the money didn't come. And also there was long lapses between fights of inactivity. And I was trying to train in London, and I had a wife and family in the Northeast, and there was no nothing financially to let us do that. You know, I just wasn't making the money. And it was, my door was getting stopped as I was traveling between places. And we just ended up in a right mess. Well, once or twice I thought, you know, is it all worthwhile? I mean, this is a very, very hard game without having financial worries and you know, worries starting at home because of lack of money and that sort of thing. And obviously it crossed my mind to say, you know, should I not just get a job and forget about all this and you know, and get a few quid back in the house sort of thing. But in the back of my mind, something kept saying that you can do it, you can do it, you know, you can be the champion. You know, you work hard enough and you got the talent. What's wrong? Well, eventually it got where the mortgage payments would become very hard to meet. Although the house was not an expensive house, you know, we just couldn't cope from week to week. And for a period, we sold our house to avoid getting it taken off us. And they wouldn't give us a mortgage again, so there was a few months when we had to live apart, and Mandy lived with her mother, and I lived with my parents. It must have been very, very hard for her. I can imagine, you know, many times she could have said, just, you know, just quit it all and get a job, and you know, we'll be all right. But you know, she never, and you know, we got through it. Eventually, I was sent to America under the guidance of Bo Williford, a man I'd met while sparring with Dennis Andries, who was then the European light heavyweight champion. And I'd sparred with Dennis Andries and met Bo Williford in London. And you know, I instantly liked Bo, and we got on very well. And Bo had wanted us to go to America then, and I was still undefeated at that time. And my manager at that time, I didn't go anyhow. And I went later on when, you know, it was looking like I was basically finished. And I was sent off to America. And from that moment, everything changed. I got off the plane, and Bo was there to meet us. And I was due to have a couple of fights out there in Louisville, Muhammad Ali's hometown. And Bo met us, and his instant words to me were, "What's happened to you? Yeah, you're fat. What's the matter with you? You shouldn't be a heavyweight." And that was it. From that moment on, you know, it changed, and we worked on getting the weight down, fought in America, and won a lot lighter than I had been. And from that moment on, it got better and better, and I was winning fights, and I've remained undefeated from that time. Well, we're a big family and very, very close. There's an awful lot of McCrories around the area in Consonant, and you know, there's 7 of us. There's 7 children in our family, and as I say, we are very, very close. And boxing, you know, my dad used to obviously talk to all of us about boxing, but I initially took it up and started it, and then, you know, as the family became more and more involved and they came to fights, all of them became involved. And I have 2 other brothers who box. My youngest brother, one of the twins, he boxes. He's an amateur light heavyweight, doing very well. And my older brother, Gary, he's a professional heavyweight. And he's just started, he's had a few fights, and he's coming along very well. Nice move, champ. You get away from that, you get away from the bullet. They've held me for 2 or 3 championship fights. And it must get very hard for them because, you know, at times you just, you know, it all goes and you've got an opponent in front of you and it's not a brother. And, yeah, you may belt them a few times on the head that you shouldn't. And afterwards, sometimes I feel a bit guilty. You know, I shouldn't have done that to me brother. And then I think, well, if I didn't do it to him, he was going to do it to me. So, but they're great. You know, none of them need to do this for me, but they both work very hard and help us all they can. Yeah, I like being in the gym. Yeah, I like sparring and doing all the work in the gym. I do get a kind of buzz out of it. Every now and again, everything will work spot on. It might be once every 2 months and everything will come together and you feel absolutely fantastic.
And it's a high that you know you're in the best physical condition that you could possibly be in. And I go through all the hard times and all the hard work where you think, everything feels terrible. For them moments, and hopefully them moments come in the ring, and when it happens in the ring, it's the best moment. It's great. You couldn't feel any better than that. That if you're going to be a professional, you've got to do it right. And I believe in putting the hours in, getting up at 5 in the morning, and doing all the bits and pieces. And I work very hard at being a professional, and hopefully it'll pay dividends, and I'll be in good condition. I think just about every morning the alarm goes off, and I think, nah, it's got to be something better to do. And then something inside us just says, come on, get out of bed, you've got to go to work. And it's the same as a milkman and anything else. This is my job, and I believe in being a good pro and doing it to the best of my ability. So I jump out of bed and get ready and go out, beat the milkman
out. I've been preparing for this fight for a very long time. Lots of long runs up on the moors. My trainer and myself, we go to he lives at Castleside, past Concert, and we go up onto the moors about a mile past that on a Sunday morning to run. And I mean, this has happened all through the winter, and in whatever conditions, snow, rain, shine, we've been up there running. And I'm up there with me big boots on and me hat and all me weather gear, and the same with Alan. And we're out running. And the only guy we could see in the distance is a farmer, and he's getting the sheep in when he's sheepdogs. And we're up there and we've got weights, and I've got weights in my hands, and I'm shadowboxing and jumping about, and the farmer shouts over, "I don't believe it. I've seen it all now. I've seen it all." And he's on about the state we must have looked up on the moors at that time in the morning. Then he shouts, my trainer shouts over, "Do you know who he is?" And he says, "Oh, I know who he is." A very religious family. I actually was very close to my priest who died quite recently, who was a fabulous man. And the family have always went to church, and I've always went to church, and I like to go to church, prior to fights. And my priest at that time used to come in the dressing room and bless us just before a fight, and he'd finish blessing us, and then he'd say, "Come on, Glenn, knock him out." He was a fabulous man. And I have got beliefs, and enjoys it. She's been to quite a few of the fights, and I think she quite likes it. She doesn't really worry about it, and gets quite upset when people say, "I don't know how you can watch that," and that sort of thing. But I mean, she sees it firsthand. She sees us going out to the gym every single night, and she knows that I train very, very hard, and that I'm ready, and she knows that I enjoy it and that I love it. So she likes it when I do it. My mother had the same thing. She enjoyed it, and she went because she knew I enjoyed it. And they've always backed us. And my ma went all my fights as an amateur. She would go to my fights. And my first professional fights that were in the Northeast, she went. And on one such occasion, I boxed an American, a very tough opponent, and a guy in front had, I didn't know this until a few weeks ago, a guy in front must have said at the end of the fight, wow, I mean, he didn't even knock him out. You know, what's he doing? And my ma was sitting behind him. So I think she almost knocked the guy. She was very offended, and just then gave him a speech on what what his family had done, and since I think it upset her really, and from then she didn't go no more. My dad's been probably the biggest support, and nobody could ask for better than support. And my dad's gone. He took us to the gym all the time as an amateur. He did everything to push us. Been to all my fights that he could get to. I mean, the only ones he hasn't been to is America. And he loves it, but on the last fight, all this time he's watched, I don't think he's enjoyed it, but the last fight, I come out and I said, he give us a hug and I says, what do you think? He said, I've never seen it. I've been in the hall all the time. And I think as we were getting closer to the world title fight, it was getting harder for him to watch because the pressure was going on him more than me. But he assures us that he'd be at the world title fight. And I think my ma's going to go as well. I think they all want to be there. A sparring partner's money is, I mean, that's a hard way to earn a living. We didn't do it for the money, we did it because we thought it was the right thing to do in the career and I could learn from it. And I wanted to learn things from Mike Tyson. And the money was terrible. I mean, for the first time we went out there, we were getting paid a couple of $100, a few $100. It was a week. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible money. They put our money up for the second because they made me chief sparring partner. So the money was a fair bit better the second time. But I mean, Frank Bruno's pocket money. It was unbelievable because Mike Tyson is a ferocious sparrer. A lot of heavyweight guys, they know they're good. So they don't have nothing to prove by beating up on the sparring partners. But I think Mike Tyson enjoys it. And we would sit there, I mean, some good heavyweights and myself, we'd sit there, and after we'd been there a few weeks, it got where we all expected to get a bit of a high. I mean, we expected. I mean, we knew some of us were going to go down, some of us were going to get knocked out, and we would sit there watching the guy, and we'd all be having a laugh, and we'd say, oh, you're next, oh, well, Mike looks bad today. He's giving everybody a beating today. Who's next? And it got where, we'd have a joke about it before we got in, and I spent 2 trips out with Mike Tyson in Atlantic City, and never got put on the floor, never got hurt, and I hit him with good shots, and it did so much for me confidence. I mean, to go in with a heavyweight champion of the world, and to come out unscathed and holding your own, and at times having the better of him in rounds, although every single round was harder than any fight I've ever had. My dream's still to do something in the heavyweights. And I have the height and the build. At the minute, I'm still young, I'm just 24, and I have time. Obviously, I'm going to mature and I'm going to get bigger. But whereas I did it, very early on at 19 and was not prepared for it, I think at 26, 27, with the experience I'll have gained in the cruiserweights, it's a must that I'll go to heavy. And I think this time it'll be a whole different story. I'll have known all the pitfalls. I mean, I was in with the European champion when I was 19, and lost a close decision in Denmark, which many people thought I'd won. So I think when it comes around next time, and all the experience I've gained as a cruiserweight, without taking any hurt, will pay dividends. And the biggest dream, obviously, all I can think about now is Patrick Lumumba and the Cruiserweight Championship of the world. But in a corner of my mind, there's still Mike Tyson. And one day I want to be in there with him for real money and in a real fight.
And what a prospect that would be. As the little matter of Patrick Lumumba at 50. behind him. What's your professional sports journalist point of view?
There's always been the same question marks over Glenn. Has he got the killer instinct? Can he land the big punch if he needs it? But he's done amazingly to get a world title fight after his earlier disasters. It's all there in front of him, his own people, everything. So basically, come on, Glenn, get in there, my son.
Yes, I know he's watching tonight. Glenn, all the Northeast behind you. Give him one from us. That's it. I'll be hoarse shouting for you tomorrow night. Might not read the news on Monday. Good night.
Good luck, Glenn. Good night.
Good evening. Well, it certainly has been a most eventful couple of weeks for British boxing. Barry McGuigan forced to retire by Jim McDonnell, the Dark Destroyer Nigel Benn eclipsed by Michael Watson, and Sammy Rison's bid for the WBC cruiserweight title thwarted by Carlos de Leon. But tonight, Geordie Glenn McCrory goes for another world cruiserweight title, the vacant IBF version against the African Patrick Lumumba. McCrory, a patent failure as a heavyweight, rehabilitated as a cruiser to take Commonwealth and British Championship honours. And Lumumba, a tough handful from Kenya, but now a Swedish national, comes to this fight as an underdog. He admits to only 11 fights in 5.5 years, and he's been inactive for 13 months. Well, this is the first world title fight ever to take place in the Northeast, and I can tell you that Glenn McCrory will not be short of support here at the Louisa Centre in Stanley, because he lives just down the road. That familiar partnership of Reg Guthridge and Jim Watt will be ringside, but now let's get the official introduction from the Master of Ceremonies.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, the main event of the evening, on behalf of John Spenceley, Cedric Kushner Promotions, sponsored by Budget Windows and Derwentshire Council, the International Boxing Federation World Cruiserweight title, 12 3-minute rounds of boxing. Introducing on my right from Kenya, he boxes out of New York, US of A, Patrick Lumumba. On my left, Glenn McCrory. At the weigh-in today, McCrory scaled 13 stone 8 pounds, Lumumba scaled 13 stone 5 3/4 pounds. Your officials this evening, your referee from Hackensack, New Jersey, Mr. Randy Newman. Your judges, Christian Wollaston of Portsmouth, Virginia, Bernie Frederick of Brooklyn, New York, Michael Giella of Chicago, Illinois. Your supervisor is Bob Lee Jr. of Plainfield, New Jersey. Your inspectors, David Ogilvie, and your timekeeper, Albert Kelleher. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the International Boxing Federation World Cruiserweight title. Thank you.
So very much the first close-up attention time for young Glenn McCrory there. And this is a real hard nut, Lumumba. Jim Watt and I have seen him fight in America. He came into the ring sweating profusely. But it looks as though Lumumba's going to fly from the start. 13 stone 8 pound division is between light heavyweight and heavyweight. The vacant International Boxing Federation Championship of the cruiserweight division. So the first Northeast man, a challenge for a world championship, and what a feat it would be.
Seconds
And
out
that took from
for
where he
round
was virtually,
one.
if he could bring it off. Bit of problem at the weigh-in last night. IBF insisted 24 hours before. A pound overweight McCrory, but he shifted it okay, and that's why they make some boxers now have to weigh in the night before, so that's not too much of a strain to get weight off. Just as well, we've got a strong heavyweight referee, former boxer Randy Newman. This is his 12th World Championship fight with the IBF. McCrory has taken stock of Lumumba. He watched him box in Atlantic City when he defeated Alonzo Ratcliffe. And then he used Ratcliffe as a sparring partner to get some experience. So he really has done all the groundwork now, and now it's when it all matters. Saw Lumumba Jim in a contest on the Bruno Witherspoon bill at Wembley when he defeated an ordinary American heavyweight called Walter Santamore. He's a bit deceptive, Jim Lumumba. He sort of strikes when it suits him and then has a little sleep when it suits him, from the contest I've seen him in.
Yeah, but he has not a bad technique. It's been a good, positive, sharp start from McCrory, but throughout his career, I've thought his chin has maybe been carried a little bit high, and a couple of times already he's been caught with his head up in the air. He's going to have to, if he's going to hold his head high, he's going to have to step back out of harm's way a little bit quicker, or either that or get his chin down.
Well, in his heavyweight days, of course, he suffered a bit, Glenn McCrory. Roy Curry knocked him over at Oldham. But he's come on a lot since then, and surviving almost 100 sparring rounds with Mike Tyson, the man himself, is a great feat, and he's even got a signed certificate to prove it, and was never on the deck. Half a minute to go in the opening round. Oh, what a good left hook. And he's... For a minute, I thought he was acting, but nobody could act that badly. What a turn-up for Glenn McCrory. If he can stop this fella in the opening round, was he going to run out of time?
Lumumba's really gone here, Reg. He's all over the place. He should be taking a counter, grabbing hold of McCrory. But I don't think he knows where he is. What a lovely left hook from McCrory. That must give him all the confidence in the world.
Well, I tell you, Jim, when he first nailed him with that punch, it looked as though he wanted to do a silly takeoff of Ali. Then you realise he was really hurt by it. I mean, he was almost like a rag doll in there.
He was shattered by that punch. That got him all the way down to his ankles. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go. He should have taken a counter, grabbed hold, but he did nothing. He just stood there, and he's very fortunate still to be in this fight. Wait, you see this left hook coming. And look at his legs all over the place. He's stunned. He doesn't know where to go. Down he goes.
And there's the overhead shot there. It really is remarkable performance, because I've seen Lumumba, and believe me, he's a real hard nut, and that's some punch. And if that's what McCrory's learned from Mike Tyson, well, now can he carry it on? All the confidence in the world, and he's done it the hard way. He's come off the goal cue to make it in this game. Second round then. He's got to be careful and pick them nicely, Jim. He mustn't fall in like that, way short.
Yeah, but he's still in control of what he's doing. McCrory hasn't gone in too hot-headed. He realises that Lumumba's probably recovered from the effects of the punch, but at least he knows he has the power to shake him up, and obviously he'll be looking for that shot again.
Well, I tell you, 13 months inactivity, and I suppose even with the hardest of sparring with head guards on, Lumumba wasn't ready to get tagged with a good punch like that. And there's no point in him if he came in showing contempt for McCrory. He's had to pay for it.
I think Lumumba's been shocked by that punch. I think he's been looking at McCrory's record and believing that he didn't have the power to trouble him, but he knows different now.
It's actually only he stopped 9 opponents out of 25 wins, McCrory. Now you can see why he doesn't get too many fights, Jim, because the opponents don't fancy the style of Lumumba. He's so awkward.
He's beginning to land some kind of dangerous-looking punches of his own now. McCrory's going to have to tighten up a little bit and just pick his shots.
Got to get out of that corner. Can't blame McCrory trying to bide his time. He can't fall in and get tagged by what the old-fashioned sucker punch. So coming up then to the end of the second, scheduled of course for 12-round championship. $13 stone 8 pounds, right on the button, Ben McCrory. Second attempt, 13 5 3/4 Lumumba. Jim, this is where Lumumba started to get a little bit back in this replay.
A couple of dangerous punches from Lumumba just in this little spell, but Lumumba's never really been able to put punches together. McCrory's moving around well, taking a few chances here and there, but his own punches are very good.
Well, as I say, he was pouring with perspiration when he came into the ring. Now they'll have to throw a lot of water over him to revive him at the end of the first.
Seconds out, round 3.
And we're into this third round then. Glenn McCrory from Anfield Plain in Durham, and Lumumba from Kenya, and became a Swedish national citizen, and now is working out in the Don King camp in Cleveland, Ohio. McCrory's not riding those punches enough, Jim. As you said earlier, he's holding the head a little bit high and tight, isn't he, there?
Yeah, well, Lumumba's really putting on the pressure here. McCrory would be better advised, I think, just to survive for a half minute or so before he comes back into it. He doesn't want to trade with Lumumba. Although he has the power to shake him, as we've seen, he can't afford to take chances. And Lumumba wouldn't keep this pace going. McCrory would be better just being a little bit careful and get back behind the jab, keep his chin down.
Picked up a great deal of experience boxing in America, McCrory, with Bo Williford, a former heavyweight who runs a good camp in Louisiana. 50 members, believe it or not, of the McCrory family here tonight, so he's getting all the encouragement from outside the ring. So we're midway then through the third. minute to go in the third. And he's flailing away with a lot of punches here in Lumumba. The bookmakers made McCrory favourite. I think that was well, showing a bit too much loyalty there, because on the form, Lumumba really was an even money shot, whatever happened.
Lumumba's legs seem to be a little bit shaky again there, Reg. Every time McCrory lands with a clean shot, it seems to be shaking him up, so obviously he has the power to finish this.
So now I wonder what Bo Williams inside the ring on his knees. There he is, the American is saying now. He's really transformed this lad, because he had quite a losing run at one time, enough to dishearten most people. And then came back, won the Commonwealth and the British Championships at cruiserweight. Now this McCrory replay, Jim, here, he started to flick some punches out there and got through.
Yeah, well, we've seen a big improvement in McCrory's punching in this fight. Performance all the way around.
Seconds out. Round 4.
Well, at the start of each round now, we're coming out for the fourth. Lumumba's doing a few exercises in the corner even to get himself going. And there's desperate signs. Use the jab now for Glenn McCrory. Well, he didn't quite take advantage of that, Jim. He slipped him nicely and then missed.
Yeah, but too bad. But the main thing is he has the moves. And a couple of times I felt McCrory's just one punch away, one clean punch away from being champion. He's shaken Lumumba up a few times. Although most of the good punches he's taken himself, he's taken them high, they haven't troubled him. So he just wants to keep his wits about him here. I think he knows now he's good enough to beat this man.
I'd like to see him use the old-fashioned, what was called the English straight left a bit, Jim, because this fella's made for it, isn't he?
Yeah, I would like to see him just be a little bit careful for the first half of this fight. He's taken quite a few chances, but he's gotten away with it. But a couple of times, taking the chances has worked for him. He's almost got Lumumba out of there. But he wants to be nice and careful, because I think with his long, accurate punching, he can inflict a lot of damage in the second half. See, when he stands off, leaves himself a bit of room, his long, accurate punches are troubling Lumumba.
Minute to go in this round, and referee Newman reminding Lumumba not to pull the opponent on. So there they are, the straight punches, far more effective now with McCrory. The judges come from Virginia, Chicago and New York, if it does go 12. Too late in the round, or is it? About 15 seconds to go. And remember, if he went down, the count would continue. It only stops in the last round. Well, he's had the drink. The referee's walked over and just had a little gargle there. He's feeling the heat as well in his packed hall at the Louisa Centre in Stanley.
Round 5.
And we're into the 5th round of this championship fight then. International Boxing Federation at 13 stone 8. And the WBC champion is Carlos de Leon, who defeated Britain's Sammy Reeson recently. Previously held by a very popular and good fighter, Evander Holyfield. And a Frenchman, Belbouli, holds the WBA version. He chops the punches at strange angles, Lumumba, Jim, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is about as dangerous as we've seen Lumumba. He's showing a little feint now before he throws the punch. And, he's a little bit of danger now coming from Lumumba. This is where McCrory doesn't want to trade with him. He wants to just to back off out of there, keep the chin down and get out of trouble. Don't trade at this point. The pace will slow down maybe in about half a minute or so, then McCrory can come back in again.
So word from McCrory's corner, Bo Williford, he's quite happy with the way it's going, but he wants to try and get his man to back Lumumba up a bit. I think they're relying on the Kenyan blowing a bit of steam towards the end of the contest now. He's been known to fade a little bit.
Well, Lumumba seems to do his best work at the start of every round, so it'd be good policy for McCrory just to be a little bit careful for the first minute or so, and then come in to do some work in the last 2 minutes and to win the round. But Lumumba has been very dangerous at the start of this round.
Minute to go in the 5th. I think all that American sparring, and particularly with the hard man Tyson, has made McCrory durable, Jim, but I'd like to see him get back to a bit of boxing. He could do that. He certainly did in his amateur days anyway.
He's taken that little right hand over the top from Lumumba. McCrory hasn't been quite so effective in this round. And there again, that's that left hook. A couple of times it's got him out of trouble and put Lumumba in trouble. It's really working well for him today. There it is again.
He keeps going in with that left hook. And the crowd on their feet here. Are we going to get another sensation in an ITV fight? It doesn't stop happening. And they haven't heard the bell, though, I don't think, but Randy Newman's querying his hand. Has the bell gone? Yes, it has. Well, I tell you, it's almost getting a waterfall on him there to try and pull him together. The guy in his corner has worked with a lot of American fighters. The man on the outside is 78 years old, Eddie Mahfouz, who's handled world champions over the years. So let's have a look with our overhead camera at this replay, Jim. Where's the left hook?
Once again, late in the round, and the left hook has put Lumumba in all sorts of trouble. Once again, I think McCrory's one clean shot away from finishing it here. Look at Lumumba all over the place, doesn't know where to go. Again, he's doing the wrong thing. He should be clutch and hold here or taking a count.
Second out, round 10.
10th round of this vacant cruiserweight championship for the International Boxing Federation version, 13 stone 8. And Britain's Glenn McCrory. Jim Watt and I have him ahead now with Patrick Lumumba, all right. He almost finished it at the start, but we're hanging in there by the 10th round. This very difficult customer who always looks as though he's going to fall over the Kenyan, but doesn't. Well, from the training reports, we would think that McCrory's trained the hardest of the two, and the inactivity of Lumumba has obviously gone against him here, 13 months out.
Yeah, well, Lumumba's wasted a lot of punches, wasted a lot of moves, whereas McCrory's kept nice and compact, always in control of what he's been doing. Really has been a first-class performance so far from McCrory.
He's only lifting with the locals there. The whole crowd there giving the McCrory chant, and plus 50 members of his own family. Good smart round here by McCrory, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's been a good smart fight all the way through. Complaining about Lumumba's head there, I think a little clash of heads inside. But obviously they're both feeling the pace now. But McCrory's still making sure Lumumba doesn't land any of these punches. When they get inside, he's tying him up, leaning on him, pushing him back, maybe breaking a few rules. But it's the right thing to do. I certainly feel he's in front, and I think he feels the same.
Well, for his sake, let's hope the judges from Virginia, Chicago, and New York also agree with that if it goes 12. Referee doesn't vote. Well, I wonder what's going through this fellow's mind now. He's a long way from home, isn't he? He's living in Cleveland at the moment. Swedish national citizen, comes from Kenya. And here he is in the heart of Geordie land. So there's a good local, isn't it? The off-beaters from Petman, Tim Healy. Don't have to ask who he's supporting.
Round 11.
Round 11. So 6 minutes to go now. Can McCrory become the first world champion from this part of the world? First to challenge for it anyway. And with cleaner punching and more effective hitting, Jim Watt and I certainly have him ahead. But we're wondering how the American scoring is going to go.
Well, at the end of the last couple of rounds, Lumumba himself's gone back to his corner, shaking his head. It's as though he even feels himself things are not going his way. I certainly have McCrory in front. His punching has been better all the way through, but he hasn't got too much in hand that he can afford to start backing off. He'll have to keep pumping out the punches and keep in the fight.
Yeah, strange enough, the Bo Williford of McCrory's corner has just signalled to us that he thinks his man's miles ahead. I would say there's no doubt about it, Jim, but, you know, we've been around enough to know you can't really tell how the Americans are viewing it, the American judges.
Well, I mean, you have to ask yourself how much success has Lumumba had, and you can't ever really remember him having a real good round. But we can remember plenty of good bursts of punches from McCrory all the way through. A couple of times he almost had Lumumba out of there. I can't see any way he's not in front at this point.
Judges' scorecards after all. In the 11th. He almost did it at the start, McCrory. Can he do it near the finish? almost rubbery-legged, isn't he? He's falling all over the place, Lumumba, but for some reason or other, he's still standing up. Can he make it or not? What a good conclusive victory now it would be for McCrory.
See, there's Lumumba shaking his head again. I think he's had enough. I think he knows who the better man is.
Just look at the crowd now on the feet there. They're sensing their man's in there. Randy Newman will give the Lumumba every chance, but he's getting nearer as though he's going to dive in. Watch this now. No, he can only break them at this point. Using the ropes to almost prop himself up there, doesn't he? Exaggerates the pain a bit, I suspect, Lumumba. Look at that. Well, it'll need more than this shower bath that they're giving Lumumba now with a round to go. And he really is out on his feet. They're totally exhausted. The referee's just gone over and said, is everything okay there? Jim, this is where he's really under pressure. It's all over bar the shouting now.
There goes the left hook again. And at this point, I don't think McCrory realised how badly shaken Lumumba was there. They were into a clinch just after this, but he really was badly shaken. Another lovely left hook.
So it's nice and calm and a bit collected down that corner, and had that little friendly kiss. They've got a great bond there, McCrory and Williford.
12th and final round.
Championship for us, he's saying, as he's coming up for the last round, and the crowd on their feet. What a good sporting crowd they are anyway.
Well, the 11th was another big round for McCrory. I can't see any way he's not at least 4 rounds in front here, Reg.
Yes, I'm certainly not arguing with that. There might be even more, because they might have given a full point in those rounds. The two that McCrory had this fella rolling all over the place.
Doesn't automatically raise the winner's hand, as you see in the British fights. Got to wait for the judges' cards to be collected and okayed by the IBF supervisor, Bobby Lee Jr. It's almost a fairy tale story, Jim, isn't it? The fellow had to go to the States to earn some money sparring. He was on the dole. He had a winning run that then turned to a bad losing run, almost near retiring.
Well, it certainly paid off everything. It's what I've noticed so much about him tonight too is his concentration. I mean, 12 rounds, he's been under pressure for a lot of those rounds, but his concentration has never lapsed. He's always kept his wits about him and kept everything under control. As I said earlier, it's the best performance I've ever seen from McCrory, and there's no way he's not going to go home world champion tonight. I don't think Lumumba has even the strength and the power now to trouble him.
Well, I think the chance says it all there, with 60 seconds to go now. A little bit of boxing history being made. Introductions of new weights, I realise that. And it's a little easier to win these days in terms of so many available. So it looks like being a championship fight without clean knockdowns. But on the other hand, look, Lumumba's been more than once in trouble, to say the least. So the countdown has really begun now, and it's McCrory all the way, and he can really afford to take a few chances now and make absolutely sure. And he's pummeling away with punches right above us on the ropes here. And there it is. The crowd know it. Certainly McCrory knows it. And Lumumba's walking around head down. And the security are all around the ring like sentinels there to stop anybody diving in before the decision is announced. That's a nice touch. The former champion, TJ, is that Jim, going over and congratulating McCrory? I think it is.
Yeah, but that's him, Reg. And there's no doubt in anybody's mind, even Lumumba, who the new champion is. Fabulous performance from McCrory. All the way through, what's about him. Good punches, good moves, best of shape, and good luck to him.
Fredrick scores the contest 116-111. Judge Michael Gliana scores the contest 118-111. Your winner and new cruiserweight champion, Glenn McCrory.
And there it is then, unanimous decision. 118, 110, 118, 111, 116, 111. So he really won it in style there.
Glenn McCrory, ladies and gentlemen, the IBF World Cruiserweight Champion, Glenn McCrory.
So there it is, the IBF belt.
Glenn McCrory, many congratulations, the Northeast's first world champion. You must be delighted you had the fight of your life in front of your own people tonight.
It's a dream come true. It's a dream that I've cherished since I was 12. Many people said I would never get here. Proved them all wrong. I'm here tonight, champion of the world.
Jim Watt, who's had the same world champion feeling, said he's never ever seen you fight better. Would you agree with that?
I've never wanted something so much. I've never tried as hard for something so much, and yeah, I've never been as happy.
We thought you might have ended it in the very first round.
Yeah, I caught him with a great shot, and I tried real hard to finish him. But he's a cage-old pro. He's worked long and hard with Tyson, and I was just glad to hurt him. But I kept my composure. It got grueling through 12 rounds, and I kept on top all the time and never let him get the initiative.
I can remember you, if you'll forgive me for saying so, you've had a hard fight already, so you're not going to hit me, as a fat heavyweight going nowhere.
That's right.
And now you're champion of the world.
Well, I got some fabulous people behind us now. Bo Willowitz, Cedric Kushner. Yeah, I'd like to thank them, John Spenceley. Yeah, people who's worked very hard in getting us here. Yeah, they had lots of faith in us, and I'm just proud to do it for them, to do it for my wife, and to do it most of all for the Northeast.
I was going to say that a final word about the support you had here tonight. You did have thousands of people with you, didn't you?
It's fabulous. It's
emotional night.
It's the greatest night in the world.
Well, what an unforgettable night here at Stanley. Now, our next world title presentation features Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas the Hitman Hearns, and you can see that on Tuesday, June the 13th at 7 p.m. But tonight, Glenn McCrory brought the first ever world title to the Northeast, and he won it in his own backyard here at Stanley. From all of us, it's good night.
And join us live in the studio. First, let's take you back through the greatest night of Glenn McCrory's life. Roger Thames reports exclusively.
It was bow ties and dinner jackets for the biggest Saturday night out Stanley will ever see. The Louisa Centre, making history in the Northeast, the first world title fight the region's ever staged. For the man waiting to be our first world champion, hardly the glamour of Caesar's Palace. Outside, the big names were wondering if Glenn McCrory would get it right for his chance of a lifetime.
I feel very relaxed. Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Looking forward, just want to get in there and get on with it.
His man is right, his body's right, and he's going to do the business tonight.
It's very quiet in here. It's going to be bedlam in there when you go in, isn't it?
Yeah, I expect so, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a fabulous atmosphere.
He just lives along the road for me. He's going to win. 6th run. Put him to. Look out. Stops in the 5th round. He hasn't fought anybody. He's just a sparring partner, Lumumba.
That's the thing about Glenn, everybody knows him personally. Everybody's seen him out running, everybody's seen him train, everybody knows the lad. He's really good and everybody likes him.
9:30 p.m. and McCrory walks out for the fight nobody thought he'd ever get. Patrick Lumumba, the only man now between Glenn and his dreams. Inside, 2,500 fans, and all of them behind the local lad. For his wife, Mandy, a nervous last photo, and then her husband was on his own.
Introducing on my right, from Kenya, he boxes out of New York, US of A, Patrick Lumumba. On my left, from Anfield Plain, Derwentsside, Glenn McCrory.
So there's a good local, isn't it? They'll feed us from Patman. Tim Healy. Half a minute to go in the opening round. Oh, what a good left hook. And he's... For a minute, I thought he was acting, but nobody could act that badly. What a turn-up for Glenn McCrory if he can stop this fella in the opening round. Is he going to run out of time?
Lumumba's really gone here, Reg. He's all over the place. He should be taking a count or grabbing hold of McCrory. I don't think he knows where he is. What a lovely left hook from McCrory. That must give him all the confidence in the world. He just stood there and he's very fortunate still to be in this fight. We see this left hook coming. And look at his legs all over the place. He's stunned. He doesn't know where to go.
I think all that American sparring, and particularly with the hard man Tyson, has made McCrory durable, Jim, but I'd like to see him get back to a bit of boxing. He could do that. He certainly did in his amateur days anyway.
He's taken that little right hand over the top from Lumumba. McCrory hasn't been quite so effective in this round. And there again, that's that left hook. A couple of times it's got him out of trouble and put Lumumba in trouble. It's really working well for him today. There it is again.
Keeps going in with that left hook. And the crowd on their feet here. Are we going to get yet another sensation in an ITV fight? It doesn't stop happening. And they haven't heard the bell, though. I don't think, but Randy Newman's querying his hand. Has the bell gone? Yes, it has. So let's have a look with their overhead camera at this replay, Jim. Where's the left hook?
Once again, late in the round, and the left hook has put Lumumba in all sorts of trouble. Once again, I think McCrory's one clean shot away from finishing it here. Look at Lumumba all over the place, doesn't know where to go. Again, he's doing the wrong thing. He should be clutch and hold here or taking a count.
Oh, what a shot that one. Maybe we won't need the judges' scorecards after all. In the 11th. He almost did it at the start, McCrory. Can he do it near the finish? Jim, this is where he's really under pressure. It's all over bar the shouting now.
There goes the left hook again. At this point, I don't think McCrory realised how badly shaken Lumumba was. They were into a clinch just after this.
So the countdown has really begun now, and it's McCrory all the way. And he can really afford to take a few chances now and make absolutely sure. And he's pummeling away with punches right above us on the ropes here. And there it is. The crowd know it. Certainly McCrory knows it. And Lumumba's walking around head down. And the security are all around the ring like sentinels there to stop anybody diving in before the decision is announced.
Your winner and new cruiserweight champion, Glenn McCrory!
So he really won it in style there.
Glenn McCrory, ladies and gentlemen, the IBF World Cruiserweight Champion.
Three titles, baby. That's three titles.
Take it off. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay. Head and shoulders only.
Fantastic, eh?
Did it? There's a lot of people said I wouldn't make it, but I did it. Champion of the world.
Best night of your life.
Fabulous. You enjoy it?
Did I enjoy it?
Yeah.
Everybody enjoyed it.
Thanks again.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Thanks a lot.
I mean, was it the way you planned it or what?
I planned it one week, go and get it. And I went and try and get it. And yeah, one of the things I got to thank is the people in the Northeast. Yeah, they shouted every minute of the way, every time. It got hard many times. I mean, he was a great fighter, #1 in the world. Yeah, Tyson's #1 sparring upon all this. And it was very, very hard. But the Northeast people got behind us, and that was absolutely fabulous. That's what dreams were made. Right here in Stanley, 300 yards from home, champion of the world.
Champion of the world.
You'll never get it on board.
First time I ever saw him, I knew he could do it. What a man!
Great! #1!
What a man!
And fellas, I got to thank Time Tees, because Time Tees has been behind us, been good to us. All the guys have been good friends. Thanks a lot.
Chris is waiting on us. We're going to take the drug test now.
Excuse me.
Meanwhile, another McCrory waits in the wings. Younger brother Sean still has to make his pro debut. And for the new world champion, it's back to ringside. No celebrating yet while the family is still at war. Sean wins, of course. There aren't many losers in Stanley this night.
Come on, Shane!
Shoot Shane!
But the party will soon begin back at the Royal Derwent Hotel, McCrory's training camp. 12 rounds of a world title fight, and he still drives home. For 6 weeks, he cut himself away from family and friends. Now they waited to acclaim Derwentside's local hero.
He boxed brilliantly, sharp, smart, never got flustered against a banger. And done everything right.
Rose to the occasion marvellously. I mean, it took, I think, the crowd and everyone else, I think, completely. The whole, everything went right for him. It's like a dream.
It's absolutely fantastic. It hasn't sunk in yet, you know what I mean? Kind of British Commonwealth, you know, I mean, it's the world title, you know, he's got it, you know, finally.
He beat Lumumba like Lumumba owed him money. And boy, he paid up tonight. You know, future's paved with gold, and he's just going to be picking up gold bars for a long time. I have twin boys, and they were 5 years old 2 days ago. I missed their birthday to be with them. They grew up to be like them before I was embarrassed on the boys. He's a good man.
cruiserweight champion, Glenn McCrory!
So he really
Well, I'm enjoined now by the entire McCrory clan. There's Glenn and his wife Mandy, mum and dad, and brothers and sisters all over the place. You did it.
Yep, finally got there.
Has it sunk in yet?
It hasn't. That's just brought it all back. Watching that's brought it all back to us. I enjoyed it. No, it hasn't really sunk in yet.
It surprised me because I thought you'd have spent yesterday glued to the video watching the fight, but that was the first time, the first part of that report.
That was the first time that I've seen the actual ITV showing it back, yeah, and heard Jim Watt and Reg Gurridge. That's the first time I've seen that.
You obviously enjoyed it.
It was a fabulous night. Loved every minute of it.
Now, what about that crowd? Because, I mean, there were 3,000 people shouting and singing. They never shut up from start to finish. That must have inspired you tremendously.
Oh, they were absolutely extra special. It was unbelievable. Coming out to the crowd, I felt very, very calm. And when I seen them all and heard the shouting, I couldn't believe it. You know, I wanted to smile. I wanted to laugh. You know, I felt like Elvis Presley or something coming out. It was...
You wanted to laugh? You'd spent weeks and months getting psyched up to go in that ring and hit this fella.
That's right.
You wanted to burst into laughter.
It was weird. I thought that I should have felt really mean, and I didn't. I felt like laughing. I was just enjoying the whole night. You know, I really enjoyed it.
Well, I know someone who doesn't always enjoy your fights. Mandy, what was going through your mind? You're obviously a very keen photographer.
Well, I watched the first round, but I couldn't watch any more after that.
What, you sat there 11 rounds?
Yes, I sat next to Alison and I just watched her all the way through and listened to the crowd, you know.
But surely when the crowd roared, you must have had,
yes.
you must have had a little
I was having
peek.
a peep between these two gentlemen in front, and I thought, well, but then when the crowd died down again, I was back down underneath. Just
A marvellous weekend for you now, then.
Oh, it's been fabulous,
Right, I'm going to turn to Mum and Dad now. There we are, Brian and Gloria. You and I, we're in the same boat, aren't we, Brian? Because I've lost my voice. Standing at the back shouting for this fella. How about you?
Let's go. It was all worth it.
It was.
Definitely. Happiest day of my life.
The last fight at the Martin Hotel and Country Club down in Middlesbrough there, we were having a pint afterwards, and you said that you hadn't been able to watch the last one, but you vowed that you'd watch every blow of this one. Is that true?
Not all of them. Nearly all of them, but not all the fight, no.
You had to turn your back from time to time?
Oh, I did. Kept saying me prayers.
Right, Gloria, you must have had immense confidence in this fella. Did you know he was going to do it?
Yes. But I didn't go.
You didn't go? You were watching at home on the box?
No, I didn't watch anything.
Why not?
I didn't listen to the radio or anything.
So when was the first that you knew that he'd won?
My brother-in-law came and told us.
And what did you do immediately?
I just leaped with joy.
I bet now you wish you'd gone and watched it all. Well, big brother Sean there at the back, you made your pro debut. How much were you inspired by what had gone on before?
Oh, boosting Collins up loads. It really lifted us. Yeah, it was great.
Now, is he your little brother?
No, big.
Who's the eldest one?
Gary.
You're the eldest one, right. You two enjoy sparring with each other?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we enjoy a row now and again.
Right, we'll come back to Glenn now. What's next? I mean, if it hadn't all worked out, there'd have been a completely different picture. Now the world is at your feet, your fists.
That's
You're
right.
Be a very rich man.
That's right, hopefully. I'm obviously going to sit down. I've got some good people, Cedric Cushner and Bo Williford, you know, some good boxing people. They're gonna guide us the right way. I've got great confidence in them. I'm going to sit back and enjoy a little time, and then, yeah, I feel I'm the best cruiserweight in the world, and I'm ready for any of them.
So you want to get the undisputed cruiserweight titles? There's two more to get.
That's right. If them guys want to fight us, I haven't been impressed with either of the other champions. Everybody said that Lumumba was the best cruiserweight in the world. I proved he was second best. So I'm not, you know, I've got nothing to fear of any of them. I feel I'm the best in the world, and you know, whoever they put in front of us, I just look forward to fighting them.
Well done. We hope you do it again in the northeast of England. Thanks very much for coming in. Congratulations to you, Glenn, and the whole family.
Thanks very much.
Well, congratulations to all the McCrorys and everyone involved in that report. We move on from one fighter to another.
Quite a remarkable weekend for North East sport. The boxing record books rewritten by Anfield Plains' Glenn McCrory and Jarrow's Steve Cram, showing that he's ready and able to battle in the 5,000 metres. More from Steve in a moment. But first, back to the boxing, and the region is still buzzing after 24-year-old Glenn McCrory powered his way to the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World against Kenyan Patrick Lumumba at Stanley on Saturday night. There's already talk, of course, of his first title defence in the region in the autumn, and that he's been offered a purse of £100,000 to defend against either the WBC or the WBA Cruiserweight champions. Glenn, naturally enough, isn't rushing into things. He'll have a long rest and then decide what to do. Life was back to normal for the champion today, babysitting his 3-year-old daughter Victoria, while his wife Amanda is out at college studying to become a beautician. Not far away, though, that precious world title belt that he told everyone he'd win when he was just 12 years old. Glenn's had a chance to watch his video recording of the fight. Of particular satisfaction, the punch that almost put Lumumba out in round 1. And the remarkable scenes at the end when it was clear he'd won. Life for Glenn won't be the same again, that's for certain. He's a hero at Anfield Plain, where his parents live, and he admits to being stunned by the public's response.
It's been fabulous. The phones never stop ringing with, you know, best wishes and all that. It's everyone wants to stop and shake my hand, and yeah, it just hasn't sunk in yet. You know, it's been, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
You obviously expected that it would be something like this, but has the reaction taken you by surprise?
It has. I think I expect, you know, in the Northeast that publicity to be, you know, pretty good, but you know, nationally it's been fantastic, and you know, it took us a bit by surprise. It went better than I expected. I'd always knew it was going to be a hard fight, right from the off. You know, Lumumba was #1 contender, and you don't get #1 contender for nothing. I went out and caught him, and there was no looking back after that. Although he came back and proved that he was a fine fighter. You know, I just had the grit and the determination, a little bit steel blood and Pittman's blood in there, and that, you know, that kept us and took us to the win.
Well, Glenn's triumph was only part of the region's glorious sporting weekend.